Good morning. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton. I am the community spiritual leader here. Hi to all of you online this morning with us as well. We're happy to have you here, coming in out of the rain and so on. So as we begin on Sunday morning, one of the first things we want to do is recognize that we are a community, a congregation of welcome. Our intention is to be a welcoming community, not just individuals. So we start off by greeting one another. So I want to invite you to stand, walk around, introduce yourselves to people you don't know, greet those you haven't seen in a while, and just love everybody up. And I'll call you back with the gong in just a minute. And those of you online, welcome. We're delighted that you're here as well. Please settle in and get ready for a lovely morning. Get yourself another cup of coffee, give yourself a hug, jog around the living room, and we'll be right back with you to sing in just a moment. All right, now that we've welcomed one another and our voices are warmed up from saying hello, we're going to sing. And our morning musician this morning, who we have with us on video, of course, is Daniel Namod. And I want to let you know, because Daniel's one of our favorites, he is going to be back at the end of February in person to do music for us. And then after that service, we'll have a little potluck, and then he's going to do a concert for us. So that's coming up at the end of February. We're looking forward to that. Daniel he started his music career in 1999. Both of his parents are very successful, well-respected attorneys, and they expected him to go to law school or something similar. And so when he launched off into this career as a musician, that was kind of a cosmic left turn, I think, probably for his family. But it certainly is his heart. And so he has had music that's been featured on Saturday Night Live, on The Voice, on American Idol, at the Super Bowl, and on the Today Show. And he has sold over now, considerably more, I think, than 100,000 CDs. So this is Daniel, and I just want to forewarn you, not with this first song, but you know how Daniel likes to talk. So the song at the offering and at the end, he's going to talk a little bit before we actually sing. So I just want you to know that. So let's stand, and we'll go ahead and join Daniel in this morning's song. This is My Soul is Welcome Here. We know this one.
Good morning, Golden Gate. It's Daniel Namod again. How's it going? You doing okay? Good. I'm glad to hear it. Ready to sing with me? Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Sing it again. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I am in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, yeah. All right. right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
And so it is.
Nice job singing. Good
Thank you,
morning.
Daniel.
See you in a few minutes.
All right. So this is the time now to prepare to turn within so that we can take all this beautiful connected energy and ground it and center it for the morning service. So I'm going to invite you to turn off your cell phones, or silence them anyway. And I'm going to invite up our morning prayer practitioner, Leslie Giannetti, to do the opening for us now.
It's recognizing the one infinite life, the one infinite mind, the magnificent all in all, pouring itself through everything, visible and invisible, operating through every cell and molecule with its supreme intelligence, and bringing everything into form in a new way as it recreates and remolds itself every moment by moment. So I speak my word for each one, and I claim an opening in consciousness for a resonant realization of the life within, which is always moving and impelling itself through form, reflected into the world. That this infinite life is always seeking greater self-expression, and listening to it and allowing it to guide is the unification of the one infinite life with the individual soul. And allowing the unification to be the divine guide always manifests and demonstrates as absolute unity consciousness, where the soul is unified with its source for the highest and best expression of truth of being. Each one is an individualized expression of this life, and each one is divinely guided every moment by moment. Life celebrates itself by means of each one, and in the stillness it whispers the truth. Listening to the unification of life within is listening to the universe itself and being in absolute rhythm in oneness. So I give thanksgiving now for the way life celebrates itself through each one, and for the opening in consciousness which allows for unification and unity consciousness in action. And I release my word to the law of mind, which embraces my word into itself as a new creation, ready to be made manifested for the highest possible good right now. And so it is.
Oh no. Come on.
Here's a song about going back to the beginning. There was a day, I remember it well, when I could always tell what was right for me. Such a day, not so long ago, when I would always know I was safe as can be. I'm going back to that very first day. There was a day before my faith hit the ground, before the shame came round, before the walls came down. Such a day, I might have been just a child, but boy, I knew how to smile more than once in a while. I'm going back to that very first day. I'm going back to that very first day. 'Cause on that day, I was at peace. I did everything with the greatest of ease. On that day, I knew joy. All the world was a bright blue baby's toy. I'm going back to that very first day. There was a day before the anger ruled, before the guns in school, before the wars for fuel. Such a day when children danced in the streets, when all had plenty to eat, when every soul was free. We're going back to that very first day. We're going back to that very first day. 'Cause on that day, we were at peace. We did everything with the greatest of ease. On that day, we knew joy. All the world was a bright blue baby's toy. We're going back to that very first day. It doesn't need to be so hard to live this life. We haven't strayed that far. Our souls just wait for us to decide. And on that day, we'll be at peace. We'll do everything with the greatest of ease. On that day, we'll know joy. All the world will be a bright blue baby's toy. On that day, we will know love, and all that we've ever been will be more than enough. On that day, we'll know joy. All the world will be a bright blue baby's toy. We're going back to that very first day. We're going back to that very first day. So let's go back to that very first day. Thank you.
Yes, we're off to 2024 now, a grand rising. And I said last week that a grand rising is actually in the younger African American community a greeting, a form of greeting, rather than saying hello. It's like wishing somebody a magnificent experience. And so last week we gave out little affirmation card packets and asked you to seed your life with them, just to give them away, to leave them in places, to allow people to experience and receive those little gifts as an expression of our community, not asking anything of them, but giving an opportunity for somebody to be uplifted just by finding one. And so Paula does have some, I think, if people didn't get them last week, you can talk to her. She's got them at the back there. But we're in the midst of, or beginning, a grand rising ourselves for 2024, and I have already asked, what would that look like for you? If 2024 were a grand rising, what would it look like for you today? So I have been kind of reviewing some of the basics generally of the Science of Mind this month, and so today I'm taking this in the beginning idea forward another step into our basic Science of Mind information. In the beginning, the song that Daniel was just singing, when we started out, what was that like for us? So today we're talking about unleashing the inner wizard. Now, if you see the altar over here from the Frost family this morning, there's a lot of wizardry over here. There are magic wands, there's a crystal ball, there are dragons. There is a magnificent handmade broom that Reverend Carol gave to the Frost family just before she moved away. So, and a lot of kaleidoscopes up there, as well as a goddess robe with all the phases of the moon on it. Now, one of the kaleidoscopes, because Karen collects them, Karen Frost collects the kaleidoscopes. One of them is very old and it has an inscription on the side of it. And part of the inscription reads something like, when something changes slightly, the whole pattern changes. And that is really the essence of what we believe and teach, that it doesn't require a huge shift inside of us to get our lives back on track or to improve things or to even increase the good that we're already experiencing. So the first thing in going back is the recognition that when we're little, we know our own power. We know our own magic. We don't question it. We have faith in that. We assume the greatest good, always, of everybody and everything. What we expect tends to be positive until we learn to expect something else, or we change our minds about it, or the first time the power we think we have disappoints us. I can remember learning subtraction and that being a real disappointment. I was pretty good at learning to read. I was pretty good at addition. Subtraction was not working for me. And I remember feeling like my mind had somehow failed me. So there are those times when we experience something that's different from what we believed already or expected, and it disappoints us, or it turns us around so that we now doubt what we once did not doubt. John Muir said, "The power of imagination makes us infinite." I love that. The power of imagination makes us infinite. And Alice Walker said, "The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any." So when we're small, we discover that we have all kinds of power, that the software to believe is preloaded in us. And we, as we grow, turn away from that because we see places where it doesn't work the way that we expected it, because we don't realize, as we become individuals, that we're still connected to everything else. Even though that early infancy idea that there's no difference between us and the environment has gone, we don't recognize that we are mutually affecting each other and everything all the time. So sometimes what we expect turns up differently than what we thought it would. We have to relearn then the tools and techniques of faith, of the power that is ours, that we own. Little kids, they have a different perspective on it. There's a group of little kids lined up in the cafeteria of a Catholic school for lunch. And at the head of the table, there was a large pile of apples, and a nun had posted a note there that said, "Take only one, God is watching." So when you got to the end of the line, there was a platter of chocolate chip cookies, and a child had put a note there that said, "Take all you want, God is watching the apples." And the recognition of having a certain amount of power that you could wield by simply acknowledging it, by simply saying something. So we're in the process of relearning those tools as adults. And so I want to give us just a quick review kind of what I talked about a little bit this month. As we looked into this experience of creation and ourselves and how creation comes about, not only in the universe, but in our own lives, we began to look at this mystical power of the creative law, recognizing that the creator, the first cause, God, I asked the first week whose idea was this, and then we talked about the one infinite original source, God, recognizing that because we carry the same creative ability, not at the same scale, but the same creative law flows through us because the presence of God is everywhere, including right where we are, and we're not separate from it. That creative law is also fully present in us and available 24/7. It's always there. So where the original overflow and the continuing overflow arises out of the divine, we're part of that process. We're part of what we're choosing and creating to be. Ernest Holmes said, "To realize that the law of God is written in your own mind is to make available to you a power that can meet every need. Now, I'm sure there are questions that come up right away when you hear that, a power that can meet every need, because we always feel like we have needs, certain wants that aren't fulfilled yet. It's not a failure of creative law. It's just that there's so many things to distract us, we're not very focused a lot of times. And so we're not producing clear directions or clear blueprints for what it is we want to experience. The clearer we get, the better the results that we're working toward. So the next week, I talked about how did that happen? This is what I talked about last week. How did that happen? And it always happens, everything happens because of the activity of creative law. And creative law is not a maverick. It doesn't go off on us and just create a bunch of stuff that we had nothing to do with. So when something is within our experience, that creative law has acted to produce that experience, and we're involved in it somehow. If it wasn't for us, or we weren't involved in it, somebody else would be there, not us. But since we're there, there's a reason. We're part of the creative process. We may be also part of the resolution process if what we're looking at is a problem. So we have this ability that's been freely given, kind of delegated to us, like, here you go play with this and see what happens. And we are doing that. It takes us, I don't know, maybe many lifetimes to realize what we're doing, that we're actually affecting that. We're actually affecting what's coming forward in our lives. Holmes also said, everyone automatically attracts to himself just what he is. And we may set it down that wherever we are, however intolerable the situation may be, we are just where we belong. There is no power in the universe but ourselves that can free us. Now, when we say that, it sounds as if what we're indicating is that you could resolve anything simply by changing a thought or waving a magic wand sort of thing. And that is true in one sense, but it's also greatly simplified from the difficulty of actually doing that sometimes. When we're in the midst of, my former father-in-law, who was a retired Air Force colonel, used to say, let's see, I'll adjust this a little bit for Sunday morning. When you're up to your neck in alligators, it's hard to remember that your initial goal was to drain the swamp. So when we're up to our neck in alligators, and it's time for us to do our treatment or our affirmations or see our practitioner, doubt can loom large. And the doubt that we feel can feel bigger than the faith that we're trying to grow. The great good news is that it doesn't take a 180-degree shift in our feeling or our thinking in order to begin to shift that. We just have to begin to shift a little bit by degrees. Just like with a kaleidoscope, the slight shift changes the view entirely. So when we make a small change, it may be a big change over time down the road, but when we make a small change, it doesn't have to be something that's so difficult for us to do that we simply can't persist. We just need to scale it back so that the change we want to make is within our belief that it's possible. Years ago, I was in a personal growth training where the facilitator was saying, just scale it back to where you can believe in the possibility of it. So if you want to love yourself, but you don't feel you can do an affirmation, I love myself. But if that feels too enormous to you, you could do an affirmation of, I like myself. And if that's even too much, you could always scale back to, I'm willing to like myself. Or I'm willing to consider liking myself. How far do you have to back it off to make it something you go, yeah, I could affirm that. I could stretch in that direction. And when we do that persistently, it increases our capacity. So then we can stretch another little increment, inkling, and increment in that direction. That's where I'm trying to get to. We can stretch a little bit more. We don't want to settle and just stay put in one place. So the mystical power we've got is available to be used by us 24/7. It never rests because it doesn't need to. It's like gravity. What if gravity went to sleep? How many of us might float away? We don't know. What else might float away? And also we discover that the creative law doesn't have favorites or judgment or preconceived notion. So if we're doing a lot of things in our lives that are hurtful to us or other people, creative law, like gravity, doesn't suddenly shut off and say, no more. You know, if the people you thought were evil suddenly floated off into space, that would be weird, right? So that law operates 24/7 through us all the time, no exceptions, and it doesn't matter if we deserve it or not, in a good way or in a negative way. So you've heard the saying, you know, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, they may be good people, and they may be immersed in an atmosphere that cultivates more negative thinking or expectation for them, even though their essence and their heart of hearts is very, very good. They're being influenced in such a way that what they're bringing forward doesn't quite match that. Does this make sense, what I'm saying? So we're all carrying that mystical power, the, quote, best and worst of us. And what it does, which is what I'm talking about this morning, what that creative law does is it uses us all the time to create more. So Ernest Holmes would say there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. Absolutely true. The other part of that is there are two corollaries to that. One is you can't not use it, and the other one is it uses us. So the creative law is flowing through us without judgment, constantly bringing forward more of what we are focused on and emotionally attached to or have strong feelings about. And it's bringing forward more of that into our experience individually. And the more we think about something, the more we grow in believing it or focusing on it, the easier it becomes for us to think that or to do that. It's like any other kind of practice. So when you learn to ride a bike or whistle or blow bubbles or drive a car, usually we're not great at it the first time we try, occasionally, but usually we have to practice to get good at something. I had a board president many years ago who had started smoking when she was like a young adult, and she had quit by the time I knew her, but she said she used to stand in front of the mirror and practice so that she'd look cool and stop coughing. And it took a while, but it worked eventually. Like anything else, the more we do it, the easier it gets. But the other piece to that is that because we are in a collective consciousness, the more we do it, the easier it is for other people to do it or think it as well. So when we have kind of mob situations, it's almost like a particular idea has become contagious within us, and our thinking brain has kind of shut off, and we're just in the lizard brain now as a group doing whatever we're doing on one vibration or a wavelength. It's not that we're negative or bad people, it's just that we get caught up in this wave sometimes. And we can also get caught up in a wave of positivity, in a wave of good. So that's kind of a little bit of what we're seeding by leaving our affirmation cards around in various places in the community for the right person to find. And I think even if it winds up in the garbage, people are still going to see it. And whoever sees it, that was for them. That moment, that split second, that possibility, that's a gift for them. So it doesn't mean one person is going to pick it up and maybe keep it. They might pass it on. They might throw it away. It doesn't matter. It's still going out and seeding the idea. And that's what we want to be able to do, is to catch the good ideas for ourselves and also pass them on rather than just holding them in ourselves. In The Science of Mind, our founder Ernest Holmes wrote, "Never limit your view of life by any past experience." Never limit your view of life by any past experience. We're not bound by our history, in other words, by what we've done, or even by our past opinion of ourselves. He goes on to say the possibility of life is inherent within the capacity to imagine what life is, backed by the power to produce this imagery or divine imagination. So just as John Muir said, the power of imagination makes us infinite, Ernest Holmes is telling us the same thing, that we're only limited to what we can imagine and make real in our consciousness for ourselves. So say you believe in the afterlife, and it turns out that you're wrong. Is that really going to affect your life right now if it turns out that you're wrong? I mean, isn't it more advantageous to believe in it and have that uplift than to think, you know, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I'm worthless, I'm just going to go out like a candle someday and that's the end of it? Well, that doesn't feel very good, does it? What if that were actually true? If you didn't know, it wouldn't really matter, would it? I mean, by then, it doesn't make any difference to you. But I find that because of some experiences I've had, and also just because of the way I grew up, that it's easier and more uplifting for me to recognize life as a continuity, that we didn't start here and we're not going to end here. There is more going on. Now, I think there's more proof to that than that, but just to play devil's advocate, you know, why not believe in an afterlife? Why not believe in multiple lives if you want to? Maybe on different planes of existence. It's all available to us to imagine and to dwell in what that imagining moves us toward, what it makes possible for us, what it opens up in our willingness to try, to live at a higher level, at a more profound vibration. Does this make sense? Are you with me here so far? Okay. So how then, in the middle of all that, do we want to use the power that we have? There are things in our lives that we would like to expand or deepen or produce more of because we're enjoying it or we're loving it or we're curious about it or it's amazing to us or it's beautiful. How do we want to use this power to produce more of that in our lives? Well, the way that we do that is actually by embodying more of it ourselves, by saying, I love beauty, so I'm going to do some little thing every day to create more beauty in my life or to create more beauty in the world. And it doesn't have to be big because the real power is not in the thing, but in the consciousness and the way that the consciousness grows through the practice. So the way that we use the power for good becomes, well, let's first recognize that we have this power. And so in recognizing that we have this power, maybe the first thing we do is we imagine ourselves as a superhero. All right, so if you're a superhero, what does your costume look like, first of all? How do you stand as a superhero? What do you adorn yourself with? Now, you are a superhero for your own life and for the lives of those that are around you. So if you're a superhero, if you have the power to create something or to heal something or to reveal something, what might that be? What might that be? So as you imagine you're a superhero, then identify something that means something to you. What matters most? What brings you the most joy? What brings you the most delight and enthusiasm in your life that you would like to experience more of? What is that thing, that person, place, thing, experience, internal development that you want, okay? So identify something, choose something. I can remember one year when I was probably in 5th grade, because I was in this mode in Catholic school of each year, I would choose something specifically that I wanted to devote my prayers to. And we had spent the Christmas holidays at my brother's house with my sister-in-law and his kids. And his kids were wild. I mean, they were all over the place, and nobody really had any boundaries for them. So I decided I would pray that year for his family to kind of get it together. You know, at age 10, I decided I actually knew something about that. But that aside, the intention to create more good somewhere is a good one to have. So once we identify what really matters most to us, then we want to ask ourselves, well, what are the qualities a superhero who was devoted to creating this good, what would some of those qualities be? You know, Abraham Lincoln said, nearly all men can withstand adversity. If you want to test a man's character, give him power. So we have power. How are we going to use that wisely and well? Tony Robbins said the secret of unleashing your true power is setting goals exciting enough that they truly inspire your creativity and ignite your passion. What would you like to grow or experience more of or create in your life that has that kind of effect on your experience, that excites your creativity and ignites your passion? What would that be? It doesn't have to be something huge, remember? So ask yourself, well, what are some of the qualities someone creating that might have? And then make a decision that what you're going to do is to deepen or grow or enhance or expand one of those qualities within yourself this year. So your grand rising might be to laugh more. It might be to deepen your patience. It might be to believe a little more in your own creativity and do something creative on a regular basis. It might be to produce more beauty. It might be to engage more deeply with forgiveness. So whatever those qualities are that can bring forth more of the good you'd like to see in your life or in the world, choose one of those. Don't choose the hardest one. Choose one of those that you could entertain playing with and remembering to experiment with, to get stronger with. And then, after that, make the decision that you will express gratitude for every tiny little bit of a demonstration that you are genuinely moving in that direction. Every little moment that you say, wow, my goal is to be more forgiving, and I just let go of that. There was no struggle to let go of that. Wow, I'm so excited about that. That's really great. I'm showing some progress here. Good. And as the Persian healer I knew used to say, thank you, please continue. This is good. Continue working through me in this way. Help me to keep waking up to this and remembering it and doing it. Gustavo Razzetti said, appreciation helps people acknowledge the goodness in their lives and connects them to something larger than themselves, whether to other people or to a higher power. And Gary Zukov said, the light that flows through you is universal energy, and you give it form. What you feel, what you think, how you behave, and how you live your life reflect the way you are shaping the light that is flowing through you. And so I want to share a story about a little boy who was shaping the light that was coming through him because it was irresistible to him without realizing what power he was wielding, really, until a great deal later. This is a Japanese fairy tale, and I've edited it down a little because it's quite long, so this isn't quite as long. In a little Japanese village, there lived a poor farmer with his family. The youngest son was extremely clever, but he was also small and frail. He couldn't work in the rice fields. The boy's parents began to discuss his future. His mother said, he's very clever. Maybe we should apprentice him to the priest in the village. Perhaps our son will make a good priest and a suitable helper for the old one. And his father agreed. So they went to the village temple to ask the priest to take on their son as an acolyte. And when they arrived, the old priest asked the boy several intricate questions, and he was astonished at the boy's understanding and the imaginative answers that he gave. So he agreed to take the boy as an acolyte on one condition. The boy must obey him at all times in everything. And the boy tried very hard to obey, and he learned many things, but he had one failing. When he should have been studying, the boy drew cats. He was an artist at heart. He drew big cats and small cats, fat cats and thin cats, tall cats and short cats, sweet cats and ferocious cats. He drew cats on his lessons. He drew cats on the floor. He drew cats on the walls. And worst of all, he drew cats on the big white rice paper screens in the temple. Well, the old priest was angry, and he told the boy that drawing cats during study time was wrong. But the boy continued to draw cats. And so the priest told the boy to pack his belongings and go home. When he said goodbye, he also gave the boy some advice. He said, avoid large places at night. Keep to small places. And then the priest went into his room and closed the door. Well, the boy didn't understand, but he packed his few belongings and he headed out the door. He packed his belongings in a bundle and left. And when the boy reached the road, he thought, well, if I go home, my parents may punish me. I should go to the city and see if the priests there could use a new apprentice. And so he headed for the city. No one had told him that the temple in the city was closed. It was dark when the boy arrived, and everyone was asleep. So there was no one to tell him that an evil goblin rat had taken over the temple and chased all the priests away, or that the soldiers had tried to remove the goblin rat but had failed. The boy walked to the door and knocked. There was no answer. So he turned the handle and pushed the door open. He walked in calling, is anyone there? No one answered. But the boy thought a priest would show up eventually, so he sat down to wait. Now the goblin rat always left a light burning to lure strangers in at night, but the little boy didn't know this. He noticed the room was very dusty and dirty, and he thought the priests really needed an acolyte to help them keep the place neat and clean. He opened a drawer and found some rice paper, pens, and ink. And soon he was filling the paper with drawings of cats. When he ran out of paper, he drew cats on the floor. Then he drew cats on the white paper screens in the temple until they, too, were covered with cats. Well, by then the little boy was sleepy, so he started to lie down next to one of the screens. But at that moment, he remembered the words of the old priest. Avoid large places at night. Keep to small places. The temple was huge, so the boy looked for a small place. He found a tiny cupboard in the little room next to the door and climbed into it with his bundle of clothes. He shut the cabinet door and fell asleep on a shelf with his bundle for a pillow. In the middle of the night, the boy heard a loud sound of fighting, yowling, running, thumping, bumping, growling. He peeked out, but it was too dark to see anything, and he was frightened, so he closed the door and stayed inside. In the morning, the boy crawled out, tiptoed out of the little room, and peeked into the temple. The goblin rat was lying on the floor of the temple, dead. Little boy looked at the temple screens, and each cat he had drawn had a little circle of red around its mouth. When the people of the city discovered that the goblin rat was defeated, they proclaimed the boy a hero. The priest would have been happy then to take him as an acolyte, but the boy, by then, had changed his mind. He became an artist instead, and his paintings of cats became famous in all of Japan. Here's a story about a little boy putting his innate power to work, irresistibly doing more and more of it, not knowing its purpose really, or what it was there for, but doing it out of the sheer joy of it, feeling compelled to do more, to create differently. This is the kind of thing that we want to go back to the very first day, back to the curiosity, the imagination, the willingness to try stuff out, to imagine something fuller and greater and more amazing, and to engage deeply in that. So, imagine you're a superhero. Identify what matters most to you in a joyful realm. Ask yourself, what are the qualities of somebody who's producing that kind of good? And then decide to grow and embody one of those qualities inside yourself, with the caveat that for every little thing that comes along to encourage you, every little sign that you're headed in a good direction or that you're shifting, that you express gratitude in some way. So, let's anchor this now in prayer. So as we turn within, we know there's only one presence, one power. And it is everywhere in everything without exception. It is the essence of every place, everything, every person. All of us are it in expression. And its power is as omnipresent in the divine as throughout the universe in its presence. So that power is present in us. The creative law, the creative ability is right here, right now, in this room, in each one of us individually and in all of us together collectively. This power is immense. There is nothing it cannot do. So we invite the divine within us to make known to us now what our grand rising might be today, this week, or for this year. It reveals the quality that most wants to expand and be deepened in us. It opens our hearts and softens them to a greater willingness, a greater curiosity, a greater delight in expressing that quality that's ours to grow. And we do this individually and collectively. We are so deeply grateful to be awake to this and have the power to set it into motion by the power of the word together right now. So with this gratitude, we release this prayer into that creative law which is within us, around us, and throughout the universe, knowing that it goes to work instantly. And the more we know, accept, claim, remember this truth, the more it is so in our experience. So we let this word go and we let it be so now. And together we say, and so it is. Yes. Please stand now and join me in the morning's affirmation. The creative law uses me to manifest more and more variety. It's not there? Oh, well, that's amazing. Okay, there it is. All right, let's try that again. Together, the creative law uses me to manifest more and more varieties of wonder in the universe. I use it to create the life I most deeply believe in and desire to bring forth. This power is unlimited, ever-present, and available. I choose my consistent thoughts and feelings, knowing that I am always giving the law direction. And so it is. You may be seated. Thank you. So this is the moment that we go into the sacred practice of acknowledging our source. If you are with us for the first time this morning, your presence with us is your gift. For those that want to make an offering this morning, if you're online or even in this room, you can tithe an offering to the number on the screen. That's a texting, rather. Text your offering to the number on the screen. And we want to also bless all the gifts being given in this room and for Golden Gate throughout this week. So some of you do auto giving, some of you bring a tithe or an offering in the Sunday morning. Whatever we're doing now, I want you to hold that gift in your hand. Now, if you're giving it with a loved one, you can hold it in your hands together. Otherwise, put your hands over your heart. And whether you're the gift, which you are, so no exceptions, put your hands over your heart, and we will do this blessing of the offering together. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. And this is one of those, it's okay, you can take your hands apart now. This is one of those where Daniel's going to talk for a minute and a half before he sings, so you don't have to rush, ushers. Here we go.
I am so glad to be
go ahead,
singing
yeah.
for you today, and really looking forward to, I think it's about 6 weeks from now, February 25th, I'll be there in person.
Yay!
To sing for you on Sunday morning in that lovely community center of yours, and to do, I believe, a little concert after the service. That's going to be a lot of fun. I am really, really, sincerely looking forward to being back there with you in person. In the meantime, when I think about my capacity to live my happiest, most creative, most fulfilled life, I think about the thoughts and feelings going on in here as being truly within my control. Not all the time, of course, but really this part, never mind the receding hair. This part is in my domain. When I look around, I don't seem to be too much in charge of how anybody else thinks or feels or behaves. But within my own mind, within my own feelings, this is a place where I reside and where I decide. So this is a song that was really given rise to and inspired by my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my boy, and probably inspired at least slightly by getting stuck in traffic. So here we go. These days, it seems like nothing's mine. Bank has my home, highway's my time. Even my phone and my TV are selling my memory. But here in my heart is a part no one can see. If an idea comes along, some new vision, some new song, if I've decided not to share, no one knows it's even there. When somebody hurts my heart, when something tears my life apart, how I cry, how I heal, what I hope, what I feel, what's inside is mine alone. My thoughts are still my own. Some things are still secret, some things are still private, some things are no reality show. I live for my wife, I love her, but we don't own each other. We are three lives intertwined, hers, ours, and mine. And now I see my little boy. When he's upset, man, that kid walks into his room, closes the door. I wanna beg him just to talk, but what a hypocrite I'd be if I didn't let him hear his feelings when they come. So I tell him when he's done. If an idea comes along, a new emotion switches on. You decide how much to share. You decide the when and where. As long as I know you understand that you can always take my hand. How you cry, how you heal, what you hide, what you reveal, how you live and who you love, what you cannot get enough of. My heart will always be your home. But this life is yours alone. Your thoughts are still your own.
So, all of us together now, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, bless this offering. We accept it. We send it out into the world to lift people just a little bit more into an awareness of their choices and their power for good. And so it is. For those of you who have not been here the last couple of weeks, I just want to let you know that one of our former ministers from Golden Gate here, the Reverend Dr. Marcia Sutton, made her transition peacefully on the 29th of December. And the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science will be holding a memorial for her, a celebration of her life, at the end of February or beginning of March. We'll let you know about that when we know more about it, but that's what we know so far. So we bless her on her way. She had a great influence on very, very many Golden Gate folks over the time that she was here and beyond. If you are a first-time guest, I want to draw your attention to the table behind this section over here. This is our welcome table. And Galen is waving back there like Vanna White. She's holding up the welcome information. There are welcome packets back there for you, and we invite you to take one with you. But before you leave, there's a blue card inside. It says welcome on it. Take it out, fill it out, and give it to Galen, and she's going to give you a little book as our thank you for being here this morning that you can take to help lift you up. It's called Nourishing Thoughts, for when you need a little bit of a reminder about your own power. And we're delighted that you're here with us. We hope to see you often in the future. I also want to acknowledge everybody that helped to put this morning together and make it as wonderful as it is, and especially the Frost family. You've got to come up and see this wonderful altar. So let's give all those folks a hand. And let's see, we have the Sacred Grieving Workshop coming up next Sunday, facilitated by one of our beloved prayer practitioners, Leslie Giannetti, who prayed us in this morning. She's going to be facilitating that at the Sunrise Center, which is just down Tamalpais here, from 1 to 3 next Sunday afternoon. It's a love offering. You can talk to Leslie this morning about it if you have questions, and you can sign up at the activity table right back here. Also, I am going to be offering another membership class, and this one will begin. It's not 3 weeks in a row because there's so many things going on right now that it's hard to find 3 Sundays in a row where I don't have to be someplace else doing something else. So these will be February 11th. Yes, I know that's Super Bowl Sunday. I apologize for that. February 11th, March 10th, and March 17th. It's on Zoom. from 1:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. That's 3 Sundays, not in a row, but 3 Sundays. Then the next Friday after that, which is the 22nd, there will be a new member reception in the evening that Friday night. And so we want you to save that time if you're in the new member class for that. And then New Member Sunday will be Sunday the 24th of March, which is Palm Sunday. So we'll have a celebration of our new members on that Sunday right here in the room. We don't have a sign-up sheet, I don't think, for it yet, but there are information flyers back here on the welcome table that you can pick up if you're not a member yet and you're interested in becoming one. Also, we have a section coming up of service at the San Francisco Marin Food Bank at the warehouse here in San Rafael. Tuesday, February 13th from noon to 2. Please talk to Ellen Nicosia to let her know that you're interested in being part of that service team. So you can call, leave a voice message, you can email. You can also talk to Ellen herself this morning. Ellen, would you stand up for a second just so they know who you are? And talk to her if you're interested in participating, and she'll get you on the service team for this month. Also, I want to invite Leslie up now because we have another workshop coming up that was very popular. She's done it, I think, twice, maybe only once. Come on up, Leslie, and tell them about this one.
So this workshop is going to be different than the previous ones. This one is going to be a practical application for spiritual mind treatment. And I'm going to invite you to think about what would you like to change in your life, and what is your belief around change? And so we're going to tailor-make these spiritual mind treatments just for you, and Marilyn Letsos will be co-facilitating with me.
And if Marilyn is watching, I'm sure she's surprised to discover that, but she had already expressed an interest in going, so, we're going to put her to work. So that's coming up on Sunday, February 18th from 1 to 3, and that will be at our new Office and Learning Center in San Rafael. And as we have said earlier, Daniel Nahmad is going to be doing a concert here for us on February 25th. He will be here live for the morning service. He's doing the music, I'm doing the talk. Then we're going to do a potluck lunch. And then we're going to have a concert. So concert tickets are going to go on sale. And concert tickets are going to go on sale the beginning of February once we get that figured out. And we're really looking forward to having him back here with us. Also, I'm going to be teaching financial freedom. That's an 8-week practical class on taking spiritual values and applying it to your own finances, not just theoretically, but literally. So you're going to be working with your own information and numbers, not to be sharing that with other people, but the general qualities of the work we'll be talking about together. And that's got a lot of reading within the student workbook, but also practical application of work. So it's not like an easy A like they talk about in classes. It does require some work, but it should be pretty productive and helpful. So I hope that you're interested. There's a sign-up sheet at the back table here, and I'd love to have you join me for that. That starts Tuesday, February 28th. It'll be, I don't know yet if it's going to be in person or on Zoom. It kind of depends on if people have preferences about that, so we'll see. All right. And lastly, I want to remind you, and for those of you online as well, you can join Meetup, and if you're already a member, then just go to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living within meetup.com and sign up for Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, and you will be able to get notices and see all the events coming up, and you'll be able to say which ones you're attending. That'll give us a great leg up in terms of planning, but also it allows you to plan in advance because you can see it coming maybe even before we make an announcement. So that'll be good on all sorts of levels. And finally, prayer. Next week, I'm going to talk more about prayer. But this morning, you can make a written prayer request by putting one in the box. The forms are over there on the table. Or you can also receive a prayer from one of the practitioners on duty at the table. So we have Selma and Karen and Dana this morning. You can go over to the table after the service to request prayer, a real prayer right there from somebody, and they'll take you to the private area back here and do that for you. So if everybody's busy, just stand at the table and wait until a practitioner comes back, and then they'll do that for you. All right. Now I'm going to invite ignore that for a minute. I'm going to invite the practitioners to surround the room. so we can do a closing prayer together. And this is to call forth a deeper awareness and effective use of the power within us. So we're doing this as a chamber of prayer, which means you're going to hear all of us praying in our own way. And just let it wash over you. Don't worry about hearing anything specific. Just take in the blessing, all right? So right here and right now in this moment, I know there's only one presence, one power, and a deep I invite you to stand up and join me with the closing blessing and the closing song right now. So we say this together. I now walk so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness, for spirit and all people and I are one eternally. And so it is. Now there's going to be a little talking going on, so if you need to sit and
Thanks
wait
again
until
for
it's time
having
to
me
sing.
today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again on February 25th, live and in person. I am at least a little bit larger than I appear on my own computer screen. And this is a song that we have sung together at least once, maybe twice, but at least once. And by the way, I feel like explaining what this is behind me. I've been writing a musical, a play, a musical theater show, and that is a dry erase board, and behind it is all kinds of Post-it notes with songs and scenes and everything. And in fact, I'm thinking I'm going to share a song or two of the show with you in February, and it's no exaggeration to say that you'll be the first to hear probably a song or two from that show. I've only shared one or two of those songs on my Facebook shows, but otherwise they are under lock and key. But I'm thinking I'm going to share something with you all. If for no other reason than you've had to look at this clutter all day today. All right, here we go. A song called There Is a Song. There is a song that my heart always sings, and you are the melody. You are the melody, my God. There is a song that my heart always sings, and you are the melody. After this it goes up now. You are the melody, the harmony, the music of my heart. All right, there is a song. Ready? There is a song that my soul always sings, and you are the melody. You are the melody. My God. There is a song. There is a song that my soul always sings, and you are the melody. Goes up. You are the melody, the harmony, the music of my soul. Now here's the tricky part, these amens. You ready? Amen. Sing the same one again. Amen. Now it goes up. Amen. Amen. All right, one more verse. There is a song. There is a song that humanity sings, and you are the melody. You are the melody. Oh God. One more time. There is a song that humanity sings, and you are the melody. Goes up. You are the melody, the harmony, the music of us all. You are the melody, the harmony, the symphony of all. Ready for a couple amens? Here we go. Amen. Same thing again. Amen. Now it goes up. Amen. One more. Here we go. Amen. Look, you're in a choir already. Amen. There you go. Thank you again. Have a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Thanks for giving a slightly tricky song the old college try. And I'll see you again soon, February 25th. Bye.